Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of our guest of honor, His Excellency Dato Sri Utama, Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, the head of state of Penang, accompanied by the Honorable Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin, Deputy Chief Minister 1 of Penang, the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar, Chairman of WIEF Foundation, and the Honorable Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of WIEF International Advisory Panel. Let's give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome our guest of honor. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem and Penang state anthem. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly invite you to take your seats. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our guest of honor, His Excellency Dato Sri Utama, Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, the head of state of Penang, the Honorable Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin bin Abdul Rahman, Deputy Chief Minister 1, State of Penang, the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar, Chairman WIEF Foundation, the Honorable Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman WIEF International Advisory Panel, Excellencies, distinguished guests, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh and salam sejahtera. A very good morning and a warm welcome to the World Islamic Economic Forum Roundtable Penang 2022 entitled Economic Rebound Transforming the Future, hosted by the Penang State Government, organized by the WIEF Foundation in collaboration with the Penang Halal International Sendirian Berhad. Selamat datang and welcome to Penang, Pearl of the Orient and UNESCO World Heritage Site, to all our role players and participants from within Malaysia and abroad. And a special welcome to His Excellency Dato Sri Utama, Ahmad Fuzi, Haji Abdul Razak, the head of state of Penang, for gracing the occasion. And also a thank you to our presenting partners, Plus Vibes and Bossert Holdings Berhad, and our official media partners, Media Prima. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to start off our program, let us seek the blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by reciting a prayer or a dua. We may invite Sahibul Fadilah, Ustad Muhammad Hanif Badarun from the Penang State Mufti Office to recite the dua.
in remembering the demise former head of International Union of Muslim Scholars, Fadilatul Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qardawi, Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ya Rahmanu ya Rahim. We gather today to express gratitude upon your greatest gift toward us. In conjunction with WIEF Roundtable Penang 2022 Economic Rebound, Transforming the Future, that will be officiated by Tuan Yang Terutama, Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi Abdul Razak, the Governor of Penang State. We ask for your help and guidance. Ya Allah, kindly give us strength and courage to face all the struggles and gain a wide range of knowledge. Kindly bestow blessing, physical and spiritual health, fitness of mind, peace of mind and strength of spirit. Allahumma ya Azizu ya Qahar, give strength to our leaders to continue to serve for people, society, nation and religion. Ya Allah, make our country a country that got the blessing, everlasting peace and prosperity of all time. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you. Al-Fadil Ustaz. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, moving on with our program, it is our honor to call upon the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid bin Syed Jaafar Albar, Chairman WIEF Foundation, to deliver his welcome address. Please welcome the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ila umur dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil karim wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. His Excellency Tuan Yang Terutama Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, the Head of State of Penang, Yang Berhormat Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin bin Abdul Rahman, Deputy Chief Minister I of Penang. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Chairman of the International Advisory Panel of WIEF, Tun Musa Hitam, and Mr. Isa Al-Ghuair, members of the Board of Trustees and members of the Board of Directors of Halal Penang, esteemed panel speakers, sponsors, and role players, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Let me greet you by the normal, warm Malaysian welcome by saying Selamat Datang and good morning to Penang and today's Roundtable Penang 2022. The theme for our roundtable is economic rebound, transforming their future against the backdrop of what some would consider as the era of deglobalization, nationalism, political identity consciousness, and a new world order of multipolarity. Let me begin by sincerely thanking His Excellency, the Head of State of Penang, Tun Fuzi, and the Penang State Government for this untiring support to make the one-day roundtable a success, inshallah. Penang have collaborated and cooperated with WIEF very closely in organizing this event. This roundtable is indeed a significant one post-COVID-19 crisis, internally and globally. I'm happy that His Excellency Tun Fuzi has agreed to deliver a keynote address for the opening of the roundtable, and Dato Insignio Zaki as the Deputy Chief Minister representing the Chief Minister to make an opening speech. This is a greater honor for WIEF since this is the first roundtable with physical presence after a long time holding it in the format of a virtual get-together. Thank you, Tun. Thank you, Dato Zaki. It is of utmost significance that we are able to bring together industry role players, officials, and academics to explore the challenges faced by the national and global community and economies on the various topics we have chosen and identified for discussion. And hopefully in the process, we are able to exchange insight on issues in order to manage our current and future needs. Roundtables such as this one, and particularly this particular one, will add value. We will enable or allow delegates to draw on a broad range of ideas and opportunities. We are keenly interested to hear and listen to your insights and look forward to sharing outcomes that will be beneficial to business, its networking on trade, investment, and other opportunities at this difficult time. The goal of this roundtable, Your Excellency Tun, is to learn from each other and understand what works and what does not. The issues that we'll be discussing today are critical to everyone with an interest to see the success and of the endeavors in charting our future journey for the betterment of the humankind. Based on the wide variety of participants and role players represented at this roundtable, the discourse, I'm sure, will bring an interesting outcome, and I'm confident will be of great importance. We at the WIEF have found our annual conference and roundtable discourses have contributed greatly to effective networking and business linkages. I do hope that each one of you will find the roundtable worthwhile as well. Let me, in advance, thank the speakers, role players, presenters, and moderators for working together with us and share your insights in facing this uncertain and turbulent world or the age that is known as the era of destruction. I thank all the delegates for realizing and making the WIEF Roundtable Penang 22 a success. Thank you to all the officials and volunteers who have worked tirelessly in organizing this roundtable. Finally, thank you all again, and may we have a very successful roundtable. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, thank you, the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar, Chairman, WIEF Foundation. Next, in our program, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to invite the Honorable Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin bin Abdul Rahman, Deputy Chief Minister 1, State of Penang, to deliver his special remarks. Please welcome Yang Berhormat Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Terima kasih Cik Iskandar, MC kita pada hari ini. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wal aqibatu lil muttaqin, wala udwana illa ala zalimin. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Tuan Yang Utama, Tuan Datuk Seri Utama, Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, Governor of the State of Penang, Yang Berhormat Dato Abdul Halim Hussein, Penang State Exco for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurship Development and Chairman, Penang Halal International, Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Syed Jaafar Albar, Chairman of the WIEF Foundation, Honorary Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman of WIEF International Advisory Panel, Tan Sri, Datuk Sri, Datuk, Honorable Excos and Head of Government Agencies, Ambassadors, Honorable Ambassadors, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to address you in this auspicious event, the WIEF Roundtable of the World Islamic Economic Forum Foundation, which has set foot in Penang after years of traversing across the globe. The WIEF Roundtable comes at a very opportune time in Penang, as we are facing very challenging circumstances globally. As we can see from the theme and topics, it is important that we focus on economic rebound and the steps forward to secure a better future. As we all know, the world is facing the threat of a global recession with the US increasing interest rates 5 times this year. This is by far the sharpest monetary tightening that the US Federal Reserve is implementing since the 1980s. And the Fed's interest rates are expected to reach 4.4% by the end of the year, which might peak to around 5% by next year. All this is to combat inflation, which peaked at 9.1% in June this year, and they vowed to bring it down to 2%. As we can see, this is so far off from the target, which explains the radical rate hikes. Therefore, this will undoubtedly have significant repercussions around the world. In the US, the rate hike will mean tens of thousands of jobs will be destroyed, bringing down economic and investment activities drastically. Globally, to respond to the surging American dollar, central banks around the world are forced to increase their rates to neutralize the net loss from the imports using US dollars. This means job losses and economic slowdown too. This is the situation we are facing today. With the food and energy crisis, climate change, technological disruptions, and many other challenges, we are at a very important crossroad in the survival of our global economy. Our only hope is that we can still grow our economies given these tightening conditions, and that would determine whether we will slip into global recession or not. This is the reason why the topics chosen at the WIEF Roundtable is important for us to tackle these important issues head-on. Only by addressing these challenges together, we can coordinate better responses to these global problems. The Islamic economy is an important component of the global economy, and therefore, what we do here has global ramifications on the outcome of our future together. Few organizations can bring these discourses better than WIEF Foundation, who has been instrumental in bringing up the Islamic global discourse for almost 20 years since its inception in 2003. A round of applause to WIEF. Covering all the important topics such as halal, Islamic finance, waqf, and many more, WIEF Foundation has created vast networks across continents to focus on the Islamic economy as a central pillar of the global economic framework. At this juncture, I cannot help but to remember the works of the almarhum Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, which covers all the topics, especially on the field of politics, mu'amalat, and all topics that we are talking today. I believe a lot of reference will be made to his work in these roundtable talks. We pray that Allah will grant him Jannah and place him in the best of places together with the faithful. Allahumma ighfir lahu warhamhu wa'afihi wa'fu anhu. We in the state of Penang welcome you to make Penang an Islamic economy hub for the region, with a stellar 50 years in industrial excellence and a very strong business ecosystem. Penang is well positioned to become an important player in developing some of the most important sectors, such as the Islamic digital economy, halal, Islamic finance, and many others. We invite you to talk to us and collaborate with us for a better future together. With that, I end my speech. Aqulu qawli hadza wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you to the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister I of Penang, Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin. Well, we have come to the very important part of today's ceremony, ladies and gentlemen. It's our great honor to invite our guest of honor, His Excellency Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi Haji Abdul Razak, the head of state of Penang, to deliver his opening keynote address and to declare open the WIEF Roundtable Penang 2022. Please welcome His Excellency Tun.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Asrafil Mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. The Honorable Dato Engineer Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin bin Abdul Rahman, Deputy Chief Minister 1 of Penang, the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar, Chairman WIEF Foundation, the Honorable Tun Musa Hitam, Chairman WIEF International Advisory Panel, Honorable Excos of Penang, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wish to thank the WIEF Foundation as the main organizer, and in particular, Chairman Tan Sri Syed Hamid Albar, for inviting me to speak at this WIEF Roundtable 2022. This is a major WIEF event, and I'm happy indeed to see it taking place here for the first time in Penang, hosted by and with the full support of the Penang state government. Ladies and gentlemen, the world today is facing multiple crises beyond our own predictions: health crisis, environmental crisis, political crisis, and geopolitical crisis, all of which have been so for the last few years now. As we strive to become a high-income nation, Malaysia itself is beset with issues of political stability, economic uncertainty and possible recession, climate change, social equality, inequitable development, quality education, rising inflation, depreciating currency beyond our control, and good governance, to name just a few. But the fact that so many very important figures are gathered here today to talk about economic rebound and transforming the future, which is the theme of the Roundtable, suggests to me that optimism is in the air and that the worst may be over. We can all feel it. My main point today is to focus on that sentiment, optimism, and to make it felt more strongly among us, with a special focus on Penang. In my experience, all successes, be it in the public sector, corporate world, or in individual lives, are always accompanied very early in the process by optimism. But what is optimism? Is it just a sentiment like joy or fear? Is it based on having an exclusive access to some information, like knowing what shares to buy? Is it hope? To me, optimism is more than all this. It is hope, but it is hope based on action. It is confidence, but not blind confidence. It is based on knowledge about your weaknesses, about your strengths, and about the specifics of the situation in which you find yourself. Optimism, essentially, is about having strategic knowledge, about knowing the world as it changes, and in that light, getting a better idea of the opportunities available and our capabilities to take advantage of them. In fact, optimism that succeeds is almost always based on practical knowledge about the present situation and the challenges that lie ahead. When we now plan to rebound economically, we should set high goals for ourselves. And when we transform for the future, we should put to use all the key lessons we have learned from the recent crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, as the dust settles in the coming year, it appears that Malaysia is in a good place economically. In the second quarter of this year, our national GDP grew by 8.9%. For the whole of 2022, the forecast is that the GDP growth will be around 6%. This is impressive, and it is very good news indeed. Since the Malaysian economy is inextricably linked to the broader world economy and therefore highly globalized, this tells us that the global situation post-crisis favors us. FDI into Malaysia and into Penang in particular has been extremely favorable. Supply chain disruptions or not, geopolitical crisis or not, the figures are extremely encouraging. For example, Penang recorded 76.2 billion Malaysian ringgit in approved manufacturing investments in 2021. This is a record jump of 440%, making up a share of 39% of the national FDI inflow for that year. This is good reason for us to be optimistic. However, we should not be passively hopeful. Indeed, we should be actively optimistic. We know now for certain that manufacturing is one of our strengths, especially where Penang is concerned. There have been other strengths that Malaysia has, which became evident in the past 2 years. The logistical sector has been doing well, for example, not to mention the rubber-based industries. With that strong wind in our back, we should dare to identify in practical terms other areas where we can grow and where we have the capacity to excel. These include looking at potentially attractive sectors like Islamic finance, the halal ecosystem, and the many halal subsectors, regional high-end tourism, eco-tourism, and medical tourism. And in respect of agriculture, even for a state without much land like Penang, to look at modern farming. These are questions we must seek serious practical answers, as after all, it is our future that is at stake. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that in sectors that suffered badly, we must dare to scrutinize them deeply in order to identify the more promising paths that exist. The services sector at large was hit hard in the last 2 to 3 years. Tourism, a sector so important to Malaysia and to Penang especially, fared badly. With the rebound, however, thanks to strong domestic travel, the tourism sector has shown heartening results. But we need to ask whether domestic tourism can be the solution in the long run. And can we rely on mass tourism to return to what it used to be? And more importantly, do we want to be a destination for mass tourism? Indeed, what does the future of tourism look like post-COVID? Will ecotourism be something Penang is naturally well equipped to excel in? After all, we do have amazing assets in this area, which can be easily developed. UNESCO has now officially recognized the amazing biodiversity of Penang's hilly range, and the Penang state government has also tasked Penang Institute and University Science Malaysia Center for Coastal and Marine Studies, CIMEX, to work towards the establishment of the Middle Bank Marine Sanctuary between Penang Island and Seberang Perai, as well as other ecological improvements. Ladies and gentlemen, the MICE sector looks promising. Malaysia and also Penang has made great advances in its global standing as a place that has the resources, the connectivity, the experience, and the talent to hold important international gatherings. This very venue where we are meeting today is a case in point. Georgetown's stature as a UNESCO heritage site is far from being fully exploited. With more and more collaboration between stakeholders, steady economic benefits can be gained. Earlier this year, the Chief Minister has launched the Creative Digital District CD Square in Georgetown, in the heart of the heritage site. Now, this is in line with the state's Penang 2030 vision. This initiative to turn the old business district of Georgetown into a digitalization engine to stimulate startups, digital education, and digital business among young and old stakeholders is highly commendable. In a show of how public-private partnerships can provide synergy for growth, CD Square has already led to the heritage site having 5G standard connectivity. This should stimulate new business initiatives in Georgetown. I believe the CD Square idea was a timely move. The health crisis has, after all, shown us indubitably how important general adoption of digital technology, high digital literacy in society, and reliable digital connectivity are to our common economic and social future. Ladies and gentlemen, during the worst of COVID-19 pandemic, we were reminded of the importance of food supply chains to our well-being. This is even more so with the Ukraine war. How should we adapt? I believe there are vast opportunities for a country like Malaysia to rise to the challenge where food production and food supply are concerned. Indeed, food security should be considered good business and not merely a defensive necessity. The pandemic also reminds us that we have the professionalism in the health industry needed to advance further in this highly important field. In Penang, the medical sector has many branches, each of which holds great promise in medical devices production, in medical tourism, in medical infrastructure, and in medical education. The state is indeed well placed to be a regional leader, or at least to be at par with the best in the region. Again, we feel a strong wind of optimism in our back. Similarly, investments and innovations in agro-based and agro-tech industries, in aquaculture, and in food supply infrastructure all hold great promise for Penang and for Malaysia. Recently, I visited CIMAX at the Penang National Park. A lot of cutting-edge studies are being done there, most notably their research into modern cultivation of oysters. What they learn have been disseminated to the local fishing community. I look forward to learning about the huge long-term economic rewards that will be reaped from this and other innovative scientific studies being done in Penang. Knowing all this about ourselves, we have a good basis to be optimistic today as we rise and rebound economically to face the post-crisis era and in the process help towards the socio-economic transformation of Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, let me end by reiterating that optimism is about being daring, realizing that the ecosphere in which you are functioning is healthy and growing makes you more daring. Just as importantly, having collaborators to share ideas and risk with makes you bolder. To be bold is easier if we are bold together. The Penang State Government recently took the initiative to discuss federal-state relations and to do this between state governments. This signals a growing realization in the country that we need to talk to each other. We need to develop channels for easy communication between stakeholders, between the private and public sector, between scholars and policymakers, and between civil society and governments. More importantly, we need to see public policy being transformed into private action. A major task facing Malaysians today is the need for synergy. We must stop working in silos. At the state level, therefore, I call on all those who love Penang to stimulate collaboration across industries and within industries, across sectors and within sectors, and across political camps and within political camps. It is high time that pettiness within and between states be put aside in the larger interest of the country. Maturity and wisdom with a broader strategic perspective should guide us towards overcoming bureaucratic impediments that appear to hamper our collective efforts to achieve our common objectives. I have been discussing with Penang Institute on how we can achieve regular and serious dialogue, both formally and informally, within the state apparatus, involving the major players in the departments and government-linked corporations. We need to tap each other's brains and resources in order to succeed. And in the long run, it is through our willingness to work together that we can put into action our sense of hope and optimism. I hope that everyone would be encouraged to be collectively bold so as to be able to positively contribute towards the economic rebound and transformation necessary for the long-term benefit and well-being of Malaysia and for our beloved state of Penang. With that, and with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it gives me great pleasure to declare open the WIEF Roundtable 2022. Thank you, and wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Your Excellency Tun. May I now request His Excellency Tun Dato Sri Utama, the Honorable Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin, and the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar to the front center of the stage for a group photograph to commemorate the WIEF Roundtable Penang 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, WIEF Roundtable Penang 2022, economic rebound, transforming the future. Let's give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the official opening ceremony. Next, we may also invite the Honorable Dato Abdul Halim Hussein, Penang State Exco member and the Chairman of Penang Halal International, and Yang Perbagai Tan Sri Muhammad Razi Abdul Rahman, Secretary General WIEF Foundation, to join our guest of honor on stage. Thank you, gentlemen. May I request our guests of honor and fellow VIPs to remain standing. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our opening ceremony of the WIEF Roundtable Penang 2022. On behalf of the organizer, we'd like to express our appreciation and gratitude to our guest of honor, His Excellency Tun, as well as the Honorable Dato Insinyur Haji Ahmad Zakiyuddin, the Honorable Tan Sri Dr. Syed Hamid Albar, for honoring us with their presence today. Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the departure of the guests of honor and other dignitaries from the ballroom. Please rise for the national anthem and Penang state anthem. Thank you. Terima kasih. to His Excellency Tun and fellow VIPs. Well, members of the media, please be reminded that the press conference will be held at 11 a.m. at Ground Mezzanine, Function Room 9, Spice Convention Center. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I request that you remain in the ballroom as we'll be commencing with session 1 of the Roundtable shortly. And don't miss the opportunity for you to follow an interesting program by our presenting partner, the Plus WIEF, which will be held today at 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at Ground Mezzanine Spice Convention Center, Function Room 8. The topic of the talk will be on the non-intrusive approach to mental stress by Ms. Madiha Fuad, founder and CEO Plus WIEF.